There used to be gaps between people, not in a lonely way, in a human way. You'd hear a musician in an interview once a year and spend the rest of the time projecting meaning into the silence. Authors felt mysterious, partly because you only encountered them through the work itself. Actors showed up in movies, disappeared, then reappeared 6 months later, somehow feeling larger than life, simply because you weren't watching them buy groceries and argue about Wi-Fi providers and Instagram stories. Now everyone is permanently available for commentary. The internet flattened distance between creators and audiences so completely that people stopped feeling mythic and started feeling heavily documented. You don't just know an artist's work anymore. You know their routines, opinions, breakfast habits, skincare recommendations, old tweets, podcast appearances, and the exact tone they use when responding to mild criticism online. We know too much about each other too quickly. And strangely, all this visibility sometimes makes people feel less vivid instead of more real. Mystery used to allow imagination to participate. Your brain filled in gaps. Now there are barely any gaps left. Writers feel this pressure too. Modern writing culture quietly encourages total accessibility. You're not just expected to publish work anymore. You're expected to explain your process constantly while creating it. Share updates, post behind-the-scenes thoughts, build in public, reveal your creative rituals like bonus commentary tracks attached to your own brain. Sometimes it feels like writers are asked to narrate the construction of the house while still trying to live inside it. And honestly, explaining too much can weaken certain kinds of creative energy. A first draft needs privacy sometimes. Uncertainty. A weird little psychological fog where ideas can exist before they're forced into clarity. But the internet rewards immediate articulation. The second you have a vague thought, there's pressure to package it into a post before it fully forms naturally. Writers begin over-explaining themselves before the work can breathe on its own. You see this especially with interpretation. People now rush to clarify intention before readers even sit with ambiguity. Every story gets accompanied by context. Every sentence arrives pre-explained out of fear somebody might misunderstand it publicly. But part of the magic of writing has always been the unanswered space between writer and reader. The reader brings imagination into the work, personal memory, their own emotional weather. When everything gets over-explained, interpretation starts shrinking. The audience no longer wanders through the piece discovering meaning. They receive guided instructions like museum headphones. And the internet generally distrusts silence now. If somebody disappears for a while, they owe explanation. If a writer changes style, people want reasoning. If an artist becomes quieter, audiences interpret absence itself as content. Everyone feels pushed toward constant self-disclosure because online culture treats opacity almost like suspicious behavior. But mystery is not dishonesty. Sometimes mystery is simply allowing parts of yourself to remain unperformed. Good writing understands this instinctively. The strongest sentences often imply more than they say directly. Stories work because they leave emotional room for the reader to enter. Subtext matters. Suggestion matters. The unsaid sentence sometimes carries more weight than the explained one. The internet pushes people toward the opposite rhythm. Explain faster. Clarify immediately. State the moral clearly. Announce your position. Remove ambiguity before somebody else fills it in for you. But creativity often lives inside ambiguity. A novelist doesn't reveal every detail of a character because selective absence creates tension. Essays become interesting partly because they circle ideas instead of flattening them immediately into conclusions. Even conversations feel richer when people are allowed to remain slightly unknowable. That's what the internet accidentally damaged. Not privacy exactly, not fame, something softer. The ability for a person to exist without becoming fully searchable. And maybe that's why certain writers still feel magnetic today. Usually they're the ones who leave space around their work, the ones who don't explain every sentence into exhaustion, the ones who understand that withholding can be artistic texture, not just marketing strategy. Because writing, at its core, still depends on a little mystery. The reader turns the page partly because they don't fully know what's waiting yet. Thanks for listening. Catch The Quiet Quotient on YouTube and all major podcast platforms. To help us grow and keep supporting creators, please like, follow, and subscribe. Want to get in touch? Connect with me directly at jimhansonmedia.com.